Hi, my name is Andrew Murray. I started a heating appliance company. The company is called Round for a Reason LLC. I'm going to make myself smaller and I'm going to start a little slideshow here. This is not a very well practiced um, pitch, so I respectfully letting person know that, but um, the patent is proven and the technology is very good. So, again, my name is Andrew. I created the patent for the combustion chamber and heat transfer design, and I am going to share information about it. Heat. We need heat. Now, while Round for Reason LLC is a company set up to sell heating appliances, the patent is so much more. Why would somebody want to heat with wood? My dad told me a story of when and why he got a wood stove. One morning, the furnace in our house blew up, and literally my brother had soot in his Cheerios. Even living in a small town, my dad wasn't able to get any help, and in the dead of winter, we went without heat for a week. After that, he swore he was never going through that ever again and installed a wood burning stove, just like this one we see here. And this one, and of course, it is an older non-EPA wood stove. I have an unlimited supply of firewood, and I was tired of wasting my time on fuel and time processing the fuel on stoves I didn't find very safe to operate. Now, why were all the stoves in the past I used not really safe to operate? If you look at these first images, it is something of a test that I call the balloon test. Now, this is an actual stove that I had and is the reason why I created my patented technology. To simplify heat transfer, that needs to touch a surface. And what the balloon represents is there's not enough surface area in order for heat to be transferred to the exterior of the combustion chamber so you can get heat. The lower right, this here shows your typical square combustion chamber and the one path of least resistance. These other, the left, upper, and lower, now that is an extreme of for how open the surface is, but it's common. With all the openness inside a wood stove, you're going to have a lot of heat going out your chimney, and you're going to have excess oxygen and all the extra heat, and you're not getting good combustion, and you have a very high level of getting a chimney fire because of it. This is an image of the patent design. Now, if we look at the balloon in the example here, that's what makes the stove special. Vertical cylinder. You have multiple baffles inside it that are circular. And right here, if you see my arrow from my mouse, The flue is in the very center, so you do not have one path of least resistance. It's able to go around the baffle at any point inside the stove, and the baffle is flat. If we back up, a lot of traditional baffles, as in this image here, your baffle is angled and it can only go up one way. And again, a vertical cylinder will expand and radiate heat evenly compared to a box stove. This is another view and a few more images just showing the internal parts of the stove and the patented technology. You have a vertical cylinder. All your parts are going to be perpendicular, parallel, and concentric. The flue is in the very center. You can have multiple baffles, and for the heating appliance, a limited height, but for the application of the patent, it can be higher. And there can be reasonably more than two baffles, more than one baffle. You could, in theory, have over 10 baffles. The right image here shows that very even gap all the way around that baffle. And again, you don't have one path of least resistance. It's not a technical term, but if your heat is going to flow over one path, that path will make the surfaces hotter and they'll expand. And from thermal cycling, you'll get cracks in your combustion chamber. And that's what this design helps to eliminate. This is the first example of the patent being applied. This stove is in my home. It is galvanized steel, very bad material to use. I realize that, and of course, stoves will not be built with that. But I called the first stove Dakota stove. In the Dakotas, we know cold, but this stove, Dakota stove, is an indoor wood furnace. I was the first customer, again, because I wanted a safer stove and more efficient stove. Many years ago, I did sell one stove to a customer, and this is in their home. Now, as I talk about Dakota stove and my company, Round for a Reason LLC, the heating appliance sales for Round for a Reason will be actually a wood stove. Right now, I'm going to call the wood stove 20 wood stove. That'll be the model number, because the stove that will be ready and will be taken for testing will be a 20-inch firebox. Now, as shown here, lower patent products, Dakota stove, we got a wood furnace. Still could be a pellet stove, a pellet furnace. And with the patent, about 50 different stoves can be made, and more than 50 biomass fuels can be used. And again, the stove could be 4 foot tall. The stove can be 40 feet tall. Indoor, outdoor, it could be a boiler. So Round for a Reason LLC is going to concentrate on producing and testing just an indoor wood stove. the wood stove is actually our minimal viable product. Now, a lot of testing has been done, very thorough and just exquisite testing. And this test here, a new design for wood stoves based on numerical analysis and experimental research. This research paper and the testing was done in Poland, and you could see that I would think is just a person would think it's common, but they used a rectangular stove for their testing. And with the patent that I have, you're not going to reach any type of efficiency with a square stove versus a round. When I talk about a wood stove, a person is going to, of course, automatically think of cutting wood and wood for fuel. We have a problem with waste wood and products made out of wood. EPA study, 12.2 million tons of wood is actually going to landfills. That was according to 2018. Another study estimate 62.7 million tons of paper and cardboard back in 2019 was put into a landfill. Now, this is the area in which I live. I live in the northern part of South Dakota. I live really close to the North Dakota border. And I also have a tree company. So I cut trees down, and I'm looking at how people are removing trees. I'm aware of when I cut trees down for my customers, I want it to be affordable for them. I want to make a profit, and I have to figure out how I'm going to manage the residue. Right now, of course, there's no market for the residue. That'll have to be developed. I heat my home with wood, so I'm utilizing wood for my own personal use. And there are a few people around. This image here is actually showing a small town in northern part of South Dakota. We have tree dumps, and people can dump trees if you live in that town, and you can dump trees for free. Now, on top of landfills having tons, millions of tons of wood waste and paper waste, which again is trees, there is a hidden millions of tons being brought to burn pits that that fuel could be utilized. Also, again, the northern part of South Dakota, during the Dust Bowl days, we got some very sandy soil. It's almost like a black sand, and it just blew terribly with the winds we had, and so a lot of trees got planted, and the trees are getting to the age now. Farmers are ripping out trees, and they can grow a crop and earn money, but they can't earn money with trees. And so now we have hundreds, if not thousands, of piles of trees. If they don't sit and decay, they just get piled up with excavators and they just get burned. And so we have a problem with wasting trees. And so we're wasting fuel. I'm going to link to the video. I read 333 Tesla power walls is the amount of energy that one cord of firewood has. So we could supplement a lot of our heating with wood efficiently with an efficient combustion chamber. With any technology, as it gets developed, it improves. So round for reason, the heating appliance, I'm excited about the improvements as it gets developed and tested and customer feedback. But if a truck like this was to have enough fuel for 50 stoves, but with round for reasons patented technology, that same truckload might fuel 75 stoves. Now we can justify transporting it a little bit farther. And while we don't want to overcharge for fuel, but if a person has fuel savings with the stove, maybe a little bit more to be charged for the fuel, for the biomass, and smaller companies could afford to harvest wood for firewood. We really want to use logs for lumber, but if we could use the logs for lumber and then the waste for wood chips, for tops, or wood pellets for fuel, I think we'll be a lot better off. So I'm aware of having a wood stove technology, we need the wood fuel. So I think we have a lot of fuel that's out there that could be utilized. Instead of piling it in piles and burning it, we can manage it better and offset other fuels. I want to thank you for watching my review of my business and the patent. And I look forward to answering any questions you'd have. Thank you.